Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Putriza Firazara and this is my ID. I want to presentation my classroom management final term project. So there are 4 topics that I gonna discuss in this presentation. First is teaching tolerance. What is meant by teaching tolerance? So tolerance is the willingness to accept or tolerate somebody or something, especially opinions or behavior that you may not agree with, or people who are not like you. It's a definition from Oxford Advanced Learner Dictionary in 2011. And according to American Heritage Dictionary in 1994, tolerance is defined as the appreciation of diversity and the ability to live and let others live. It is the ability to exercise a fair and objective attitude toward those whose opinions, practice, religion, nationality, and so on differ from one's own. In its Declaration on the Principles of Tolerance, UNESCO, in 1995, offered another definition of tolerance. Tolerance is respect, acceptance, and appreciation of the rich diversity of our world's culture, our form of expression and ways of being human. Tolerance is harmony in difference. It is an entry point on a developmental process that leads to acceptance, respect, and even an affirmation of differing opinions and way to live. By Nieto in 1996, and cited by Colsett and Biggs in 1999. So tolerance can also be viewed as a principled judgment which reflects propositional reasoning that is logical and variable, or narrative reasoning which leads people to understand how their actions can affect the lives of others, by Colsett and Biggs in 1999. So, parents and teachers are 2 important sources of behavioral learning. Both play an effective role in shaping the personality of an individual. So, teachers in particular are identified as enduring socializing influences because they enter children's life early, spend extended period of time with them, and often remain close to them for years, by Johnson in 2008. Teachers can shape and reshape the opinion of students. So they are the substantive opinion formers, by Gardner in 1995, as cited by Pomeroy in 1999. This phenomenon of teachers' influence on students suggests that teachers' tolerance level might affect the students' level of tolerance. So teaching tolerance mission is to help teachers and school educate students to be active participants in a diverse democracy, with an emphasis on social justice, challenging prejudice, and learning how to be agents of change in our own life. So, Teaching Tolerance is a program founded in 1991 by the Southern Poverty Law. The program helps educators and school educate children and youth to become active participants in advancing democracy. So, the core goals of the Teaching Tolerance program include the following. First is fostering inclusiveness. Second is reducing bias. And third is promoting educational equity from K-12 students in the United States. So the program helps educators build equitable societies by providing educational resources and advancing instructional content that promotes diversity and inclusiveness. So through its school and community conferences, the Teaching Tolerance program creates opportunities that bring children together to learn and appreciate their differences. So the Teaching Tolerance project educates teachers by publishing books and magazines and producing films and teaching materials such as guides and lesson plans that promote democracy through social justice education. Strategies for teaching tolerance. So first, lead by example. How do you speak and treat others? Your attitude and interactions with others should demonstrate respect and tolerance. Children closely mirror the values and attitudes of the group grown-ups in their life. As a teacher, you can mirror openness and respect by embracing empathy and compassion through your action and words. Also, you can encourage your learners' self-confidence by celebrating their differences and teaching them about different culture. The second is be culturally competent. The first thing educator must do before attempting to teach student tolerance is to understand and challenge their own biases related to race, class, gender, birth country, sexual orientation, age, religion, etc. So stay informed of issues confronting members of marginalized population so that personal biases are continuously challenged and hopefully eliminated. And the third is classroom arrangement. Many teachers work with their students at the beginning of the year to develop a classroom arrangement. Statements about the behavior the class agrees are necessary for everyone to learn and feel safe in the classroom. These agreements almost always include a statement about respecting others. So take time to discuss what this means and intentionally ensure that student understanding of the word respect extends to respecting differences in race, gender, religion, etc. The fourth is teach through text. So discussion about bias and stereotypes are crucial for teaching tolerance. Discuss the use of positive and negative language and the character associated with each. Ask students to share their feelings about specific parts of the text and the character involved. Provide opportunities for students to respond to the text, either verbal or in writing, by discussing whether the author's representation were fair and suggesting change to make the portrayals more accurate. And the last is facilitate critical conversation. Students of all ages are aware of the injustice inherent in biases and often experience them firsthand. So they want to discuss these issues because they see prejudice in the world around them every day. So clearly outline the goal and behavioral guidelines for the conversation to ensure everyone knows what to expect and how to engage respectfully. Plan ahead to manage potential trigger and ensure no student feels singled out or uncomfortable to the point of distress. So teachers have a unique opportunity to challenge and counteract the biases and intolerant attitudes that children may have learned as elsewhere. Second topic is helping students handle anger, frustration, and aggression. So what are anger, frustration, aggression mean? So anger, often defined as a negative emotional reaction to perceived provocation, definition by Novako in 2011. So anger is linked to aggression and interpersonal problem and emphasized in the symptomatology of a number of physiological disorders. So the definition by Casiello, Robbins, and Barlow in 2016 and Fernandez and Johnson in 2016. So some scholars have used the term anger to broadly encompass emotional reaction, cognition, and behavioral responses. So whereas others more narrowly zeroed in on anger as an emotion. So second is frustration. So frustration is the emotional experience that comes with being blocked in our attempt to reach or achieve goals we believe we should be able to attain, by Anderson and Birchman in 2002. So when we are frustrated, it is often because there is something in the way that we cannot control or change, by Pekron in 2006. And the third is aggression. Aggressions are behavior aimed at harming others, may be an expression of anger. However, it can also be used as a tool to achieve a goal. Example like instrumental aggression, by Fontaine in 2007, Venstra, Brushman, and Cole in 2018. Helping students handle anger, frustration, and aggression in classroom management involves teaching and guiding them to recognize, understand, and manage their emotion in a healthy and constructive manner. This approach aims to create a safe and supportive learning environment where students can express their feelings without resorting to negative behavior that disrupt the classroom. So, students may become angry, frustrated, and aggressive in the classroom due to a variety of factors. Here are some key sources. First is family and home environment. So there are conflict and abuse, parental psychopathology. And the second is social factor. It can be pair relationship, teachers and media influence, academic failure. And the third is personal factor. It's like low self-esteem, resilience, and motivation. And the last is from classroom management. It can be by unstructured routine or unclear expectation. So strategies for managing anger, frustration, and aggressive. First is teaching conflict resolution and anger management skills to students. By providing them with tools to handle conflict peacefully, you empower them to resolve issues without resorting to aggression. The second is incorporate lesson on conflict resolution into your curriculum. So teach students how to identify their emotion and express themselves effectively when faced with challenging situations. Encourage active listening, empathy, and compromise as essential components of resolving conflicts non-aggressively. The third is a structured routine can significantly reduce frustration among students, which often leads to aggressive acts. Establish a daily schedule that includes regular breaks, transition between activities, and designated time for movement or physical activity. Fourth is ensure that your instructions are clear and concise during transition so that students understand what is expected of them at each stage of the day, providing predictability through a structured routine helps minimize disrupt behavior by reducing uncertainty and anxiety. Five is for students who exhibit persistent, challenging behavior. Developing an individualized behavior intervention plan can be beneficial. So, work collaborative with other teaching staff, administrator, parents, and even the student to develop a comprehensive plan. And the sixth is implementing positive reinforcement practices can help prevent aggressive behavior by promoting desirable behavior instead. So recognize and reward students when they display appropriate behavior or make progress in managing their emotion effectively. 7 is use verbal praise, small rewards, or privilege as incentive for positive behavior. So celebrate achievement openly in the classroom, create an environment where students feel valued and motivated to continue displaying positive behavior. Building positive relationship with aggressive students is crucial for their growth and development. So by showing empathy and understanding, using positive reinforcement, and encouraging open communication. Teaching staff can create a supportive environment that help these students thrive. And the last is recognize that student who is presenting with aggressive behavior may have underlying issues such as frustration, fear, or lack of coping skills. So by acknowledging their emotion and demonstrating genuine concern, you can build trust and establish a foundation for positive change. One effective strategy is to validate their feelings without condoning their action. So let them know that you understand they may be feeling angry or overwhelmed, but emphasize the importance of expressing themselves in a more appropriate manner. So this approach helps students feel heard while also setting clear boundaries. The third topic is disruptive behavior. So what is meant by disruptive behavior? So the definition, according to Mayers in 2003, about 20% of students are showing disruptive behavior in university classroom. So according to Buckle and Little in 2004, the term disruptive behavior has not a specific definition. Azad in 2013 narratives that disruptive behavior are not uncommon in university classroom. And Knapp in 2012 narratives that disruptive behavior is being seen in university classroom at an alarming rate. So disruptive behavior is, according to Mayers in 2003, around 20% of students show distributive behavior in classroom, and from Clayton in 2000 argue that a student disruptive behavior is faced by almost every teacher in the classroom, and from Allen in 2011 said that students' behavior problems result in a loss of time and money paid by other students in a classroom. If a teacher is forced to stop the lesson for addressing the chatter, to stop the side conversations, or to switch off the mobile phones, it causes waste of precious time. So distributive behavior, disruptive students are part of almost every class that cause disturbance in class in many ways. So Feldman in 2001 considered it a teacher's responsibility to maintain the discipline of a classroom. So students disrupt classroom for a multitude of reasons, ranging from emotional to behaviors issue to intellectual boredom or frustration, by Moorfield in 2005. So addressing this disruption are the student behavior associated with them continues to be a major concern of teacher in the classroom setting by the chairman and Sechler in 2011. So teachers who have difficulties handling disruption in the classroom can become extremely frustrated and find teaching academic content is difficult. As a result, they sometimes choose to leave the profession, by Ozdemir in 2007. So types of disruptive behavior. So Arbuckle and Little in 2004 defines the students' problematic behaviors in 3 types. First is immature behavior. It's like chatting during lecture, eating or drinking chewing gums, and late arrivals or etc. The second is inattentive behavior. The behavior like sleeping during lecture, timeless cutting off class, showing boredom, less attention in classwork, lacking motivation, unpreparedness, and packing the materials before the end of class. And last is miscellaneous behavior. So like cheating while taking a test and taking more interest in mark instead of learning. So according to Humble and Humble in 2010, the types of students' distributive behavior are also follows, like late arriving in the class, sleeping during a lecture, and side conversation using mobile phone, or being engaged in text messaging, unnecessary arguing with teacher, etc. So cause of distributive behavior. The literature reveals a number of causes of distributive behavior. It means that disruptive behavior occur when the classroom is not arranged properly. According to Skinner in 1998, Seidman in 2005, Zubakinsey 2007, Burchkult and Rehling in 2010, and Brittany and Katie in 2011. Large class size is a major cause of disruptive behavior, and from Clayton in 2000 narrates that students show disruptive behavior if they feel that they are being mistreated. So by Clullen-Smith in 1999 says that student emotional problems are the leading cause of disruptive behavior, and Upsoups and Gertz in 2008, Strinet in 1998, and Connelly, Zwick, Webster, and Chulgakos in 2012 narrate that student attention seeking is also a leading cause of disruptive behavior. Injustice by teacher is a key cause of disruptive behavior of students by Miller 2000, Martin in 2002, Miller, Ferguson, M. Briner in 2000, White Knight in 2005. So by Verkuten in 2002 states that students exhibition disruptive behavior to show their power. So strategies to disruptive behavior. A factor that disrupts the class management was controversial issues between the teacher and student. There are numerous strategies for solving this problem, which respect to the situation and circumstances. The instructor should use the most effective strategy in the positions. According to its result, it is one of the strategies which are very effective in eliminating the contradiction, the existence of order in the effectiveness of teachers' teaching. A classroom teacher can provide a good learning environment for students. So in cooperative and problem-solving strategies, problem-solving is a purposeful behavior that requires an appropriate mental manifestations of the problem. Then appropriate methods and strategies are needed to promote the problem from the initial stage to a desirable and purposeful status, during which the student active participant is highly emphasized because the student share and set up the activity. First is discipline. So one of the significant strategies in conflict management in the classroom is employing disciplinary strategies. So this strategy should be used along with promotion, accountable, and its reinforcement in student by involving the student in the subject of class and encouraging them to negotiate and discuss. So discipline is necessary for creating a favorable ground or to prevent the student misuse and deviation from the learning process. Teachers also need to equip themselves with two aspects of the science and skills, especially in the field of classroom education, and get familiar with its principles so that they can propose learning goals. Designing a lesson plan with a clear expectation adjust to the course objective, in addition to create discipline, is a strategy that can prevent conflict due to indefinite expectation. Also, making more time for students and having an intimate relationship with them are techniques that reduce challenging behavior in students. Using positive reinforcement and encouragement, maintaining proper behavior, using simple and effective educational method, and clarity of class rule have been suggested to be helped. In this regard, the use of multiple techniques in appropriate circumstances is an effective way to advance the teaching process. So unity of teacher over classroom management and educational planning has been suggested to prevent confrontations with the student disruptive behavior. The second is clear rules. So factors such as the student being late to class, leaving the class early, and using the class time for irrelevant conversation with the teacher can disrupt the class process and negatively affect the other students' certification. In such conditions, teachers are suggested to set attendance rules at the beginning of the class and encourage the student to focus on the course by using their verbal skill. So teachers should also talk to the student in the quiet and private environment with respect and explain that the effect of distributive behavior in the classroom. They also need to mention the rules of disruptive behavior and provide the student with a change to improve or stop their disruptive behavior. So the fourth topic is part 2, solving all the problems using the logical argumentation. Problem 1. So problem 1, Mr. Johnson is a 5th grade teacher who has been teaching for over 10 years. This year, she has a student named Alex who frequently displays aggressive behavior. Alex often interrupts lessons, talks back to the teachers, and sometimes even becomes physically aggressive toward his classmates. So Mr. Johnson has 3 various strategies to manage Alex's behavior, such as setting clear rules and consequences, positive reinforcement for a good behavior, and speaking with Alex privately to understand the root of his anger. However, despite her effort, Alex's behavior has not improved significantly. The question is, what classroom management technique can Mr. Johnson implement to address Alex's aggressive behavior? Provide at least 3 specific strategies and explain how each one could help improve the situation. So, as already explained, Mr. Johnson has done many solutions to deal with Alex. One of them is that Mr. Johnson has had a private conversation with Alex, but Alex's behavior has not changed. Therefore, by using classroom management such as helping students handle anger and frustration and aggressions, what Mr. Johnson should do is first, in-depth introductions. So as we know that Alex often shows aggressive behavior, aggression is not an emotion itself but rather a way of expressing emotion. It refers to behavior aimed at causing physical or emotional harm to other person. This behavior typically arises from an emotionally charged state, with anger and frustration often being the primary emotion that leads to aggressive action. So in my opinion, Mr. Johnson should conduct an in-depth assessment of Alex's aggressive behavior, conduct an in-depth assessment of Alex to identify the underlying reason for Alex's aggressive behavior. This involves determining what function the behavior serves for him, example like attention, escape, or social interaction, and what environmental factors contribute to the behavior. This information will help Mr. Johnson develop targeted interventions to address the root causes of the behavior. The second is teach problem solving. After conducting an in-depth assessment of Alex, Mr. Johnson can help Alex develop problem-solving skill by modeling and guiding him through the process. This includes identifying problems, thinking of solutions, and implementing them. By teaching Alex how to solve problems effectively, he will be less likely to resort to aggressive behavior. And the last is to teach impulse control. So in addition to teaching Alex how to solve problems, Mr. Johnson also needs to teach Alex impulse control, helping Alex learn to control his impulses by teaching him to pause between his immediate reaction and a more truthful action. This requires him to think about acting, stop himself from reacting impulsively, and make a different choice. This skill is crucial for managing aggressive behavior. And problem 2. Problem 2, Mr. Smith is a 7th grade math teacher who has noticed that several students in his class frequently engage in off-task behavior during lessons. These students often daydream, chat with classmates, or use their phone instead of focusing on their work. So despite Mr. Smith attempts to redirect their attention and provide engaging activity, the problem persists. This off-task behavior is disrupting the learning environment and affecting the overall performance of the class. So what strategies can Mr. Smith use to increase on-task behavior and decrease off-task behavior? Provide at least 3 specific strategies and explain how each one of could help address the issues. So, to increase on-text behavior and decrease off-text behavior in his 7th grade maths class, Mr. Smith can implement the following strategies related to the material, addressing off-text behavior systematically. So, first is reminders and schedules. In this strategy, Mr. Smith can use visual reminders such as posters, charts, or diagrams to reinforce the importance of staying on task. This reminder can be placed around the class to serve a constant reminder to students. Mr. Smith can also create a visual schedule that outlines the daily lesson plan, including specific tasks and activities. This helps students understand what is expected of them and stay focused on the current tasks. So this visual aids which over a clear structure and frequent reminder of the course objective can assist students in staying on the topic. Mr. Smith can enhance general classroom management and decrease off-text conduct by keeping students informed and involved. And the second is active engagement and participation. It is not enough to us to use reminders and schedule. Mr. Smith also needs to incorporate activities that require students to actively participate and engage with the lesson material. This can include group work, think, pair, share, and problem-solving activities. By making the lesson more interactive, Mr. Smith can increase student engagement and reduce off-text behavior. Mr. Smith can also offer incentive for students who actively participate in class activities. This can include rewards, recognitions, or special privilege. By encouraging participants, Mr. Smith can motivate students to stay on task by engage. So by adding fun and interaction to the learning process, active engagement and participant tactic can support an improvement in on-text behavior. Mr. Smith can encourage children to remain active, attentive, and involved by offering reward for engagement. And the third is positive reinforcement and feedback. So in addition to using the first and second strategies, Mr. Smith can also provide positive reinforcement to students who demonstrate on-text behavior. This can include verbal praise, written notes, or small rewards. By acknowledging and rewarding on-text behavior, Mr. Smith can encourage students to continue exhibiting this behavior and provide constructive feedback to students who exhibit off-text behavior. So this feedback should be specific, positive, and actionable, focusing on the behavior rather than the student. By providing feedback, Mr. Smith can help students understand what they need to improve and how to do so. And positive reinforcement and feedback strategies can help increase on-text behavior by providing motivation and guides. By offering inspiration and direction, positive reinforcement and feedback technique can aid in promoting on-text behavior. Mr. Smith may motivate students to maintain their on-text behavior by praising and rewarding them when they do so. He can assist pupils in understanding what they need to work on and how to do so by offering constructive criticism. So this strategy can help address the issues of off-text behavior by providing a structured environmental, encouraging activity engagement, and offering positive reinforcement and feedback. By implementing this strategy, Mr. Smith can create a more productive and focused learning environment for his students. Problem 3. Problem 3 is Mr. Brown is an 8th grade English teacher who is facing challenges with a student named Jake. Jake frequently exhibits disruptive behavior in class, such as talking out of turn, making inappropriate comments, and distracting other students. So despite Mr. Brown's attempts to manage the behavior through verbal warning and setting change, Jake's behavior has not improved. This disruptive behavior is affecting affecting the learning environment and making it difficult for other students to concentrate on their work. So the question is, what specific strategies can Mr. Brown implement to manage Jack's disruptive behavior? Provide at least 3 these strategies and explain how each one could help address the issues. So to manage Jack's disruptive behavior in her 8th grade English class, Mr. Brown can implement the following strategy by dealing with disruptive behavior. Material. So first is setting clear rules and consequences. So Mr. Brown can set clear rules about what is acceptable and what is not. This includes setting specific expectations for behavior and consequences for not meeting those expectations. Make sure that to express rules in a positive way, focusing on what you want students to do rather than what not to do. So for example, instead of saying, "Don't talk out of turn," say, "Please raise your hand to speak." Then explain the consequences for disruptive behavior. This can include verbal warning, seating change, or even temporary removal from the class. Ensure that the consequences match the behavior and are consistently applied. This strategy aids in resolving the problem by establishing boundaries and defined structure. So Mr. Brown can create a predictable climate where students understand what is expected of them and what happens if they don't fulfill those expectations by clearly defining the rules and consequences. The second is positive reinforcement for a good behavior. With acknowledgement and reward good behavior, this can include verbal praise, written notes, or small rewards. By recognizing and rewarding positive behavior, Mr. Brown can encourage Jack to continue exhibiting good behavior. So this strategy helps address the issue, providing motivation and encouragement. By acknowledging and rewarding positive behavior, Mr. Brown can create a positive environment where students feel valued and motivated to behave well. And the last is from private conversation. So Mr. Brown can talk about disruptive behavior privately, away from the rest of the class. This helps to avoid drawing attention to the behavior and prevents escalations. When talking to Jack privately, ensure to focus on the behavior rather than the student and provide constructive feedback. This strategy helps address the issue by providing a more personal and focused approach. By talking to the Jack privately, Mr. Brown can address the behavior without disrupting the class and provide constructive feedback, and that helps Jack understand what the needs to improve. So by implementing these strategies, Mr. Brown can create a more structured and positive environment that encourages students to stay focused and engaged. This helps address the issues of disruptive behavior by providing a clear structure, positive environment, and private conversation. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.